We're back.
We're back?
We're back.
Hallelujah. Well, bear with us a little bit today. Apparently, we're having some issues that are a little tricky to get resolved.
The gremlins have come to get us.
The gremlins have their little wrenches out. Yes, they do. I'll tell you. Talking about Hannah Anderson, the girl that was, the 16-year-old girl that was apparently kidnapped by family friend James DiMaggio. Breaking the case came when a horseback rider spotted a middle-aged man and a teenage girl hiking in the Frank Church River of No Return Wilderness. There's a cheerful place, River of No Return. Nice. He later realized that they were the subjects of a manhunt. Now, federal and local law enforcement spent yesterday combing the wilderness after his car, a Nissan Versa, was found Friday covered in brush and without the license plates. With their support on horseback, they scoured the isolated area, dotted only by a few scattered cabins and limited cell phone service, and figured out where DiMaggio was holed up. Now, the pair had a blue tent and other camping equipment, and DiMaggio was seen moving around wood and other materials, possibly to conceal or fortify the whole hideout. The rescue was very challenging, according to Ada County, Idaho Sheriff's Department spokeswoman Andrea Dearden. She told the news agencies that the agents were forced to land a 2.5-hour hike away from where the pair's campsite had been spotted in order to secure the girl's safety. She declined to discuss details of the operation or whether DiMaggio had fired at agents, saying that a review team would investigate the suspect's death. Hannah is safe, and that was our first priority from the very beginning. Oh, I'm so glad. I'm so glad. So many times we have situations like this come up, and we don't have a happy ending. For her family and her friends, I'm so tickled. I'm kind of sad, though, that they ended up killing him. Because I got to tell you, he might have been really good friends with Ariel Castro. They could have been bunkies. Yeah, for life. Now, somebody asked me once, how do you figure out what you're going to talk about? And I'll tell you, I am the epitome, I am the definition of eclectic. It's whatever makes me go, this week, or are you kidding me, or moves me, or kind of rattles me a little bit, whatever. Those are the things I like to talk about. I find them interesting. I think other people might as well. Now, I've had 3 children. I have, on occasion, actually taken those 3 children out in public. It happens. When my oldest 2 were babies, very young, I was married to a man in the Navy. We went through deployments and sea trials and ref trays and all the things that makes him over there and me over here with the kids. So you go through periods where if you get anything done, if you go and do anything, you have to take the kids with you. There is no issue here. There's no question. There's no, gee, should I do this? That's why this story just really ticked me off in ways I can't even begin to describe. It's wrong on so many levels. See what you think. Crumbly scones and a restaurant owner's decision to publicly criticize customers whose children made a mess are sparking a lively debate on social media. I'm sure you heard the story. It was on the news. It was printed. Yeah. Facebook has been lit up with this. Now, the incident happened last week at the Rainy Days Cafe in Lake Stevens, Washington, where 2 friends took their kids for a snack. They're out, they're shopping, they're doing the thing for the day. They stop and get a snack because the kids get cranky if you don't feed them. We all know this. Now, one of the women, Kella Poor, who had her 1-year-old and 3-year-old children with her, said they had been inside for a short while, and the kids were eating scones when the owner approached the table and pointed out crumbs on the floor. The woman came up and she basically told us there was going to be a coworker coming over and she was going to vacuum up the mess, and they had just spent $50 cleaning the carpets and she didn't appreciate us making such a mess. And that the next time, if we decided to come in, not to bring our kids. Unquote.
Really?
Yes. Seriously.
This place is still in business?
Yes. Now.
Why?
Not surprisingly, they left shortly afterwards, but later discovered the restaurant had posted a photo of the crumbs on its Facebook page with the comment, "Like to take a moment to thank our customers with small children whose kids don't make a mess. A couple of ladies came in today and this is the mess their children made." She put that on Facebook.
This is obviously someone that doesn't have children.
I'm thinking. Now,
She should never be blessed with the ability to reproduce.
yeah. The post has since been removed. She took it down, but saved images show a dark floor with crumbs scattered underneath the table. Now, the owner has added a new Facebook entry apologizing for posting the photo. She said it was not right to do that, and I'm deeply sorry for any embarrassment it may have caused anyone.
I want to go eat there.
Aha! Rainy Day Cafe.
Anybody ever seen me eat?
That could be frightening.
If I miss much, it's on the floor anyway. So let's go.
Well, the owner, Lorraine McDuff, explained that it's not a matter of not tolerating children at a restaurant, but about her right to refuse service to anybody. One of the children was also screaming during the visit. It's not that I don't like kids. It's just that we have to make a conscious business decision about the level of maturity of children that come in here, she said. The debate over the incident is raging on the restaurant's Facebook page, with hundreds of people leaving comments about the crumb controversy. Do you expect moms to carry around a vacuum in their purse? One woman asked. I know more adults that come into places that leave bigger, more disgusting messes. But others are defending the restaurant. The parents should be totally ashamed of their behavior, both in the cafe and after. If you cannot control your children, you are to blame. One woman wrote, you don't have to allow your children to eat like animals. I've raised 2 children, and they have never left a mess like that. Well, aren't you a fortunate woman? You must have raised the child Jesus himself.
Yeah.
This woman had a 1-year-old and a 3-year-old.
But they don't eat, they wear, or it's on the floor.
Not one of my children at 1 year old was any good with a fork.
Nope.
You
or
know,
a spoon.
A spoon, knife, no. Silverware was not an option at 1. It was grab the food, shove it in your face, and hope most of it goes down. This is what happens. And I saw the photos. I saw the actual photos. And it wasn't that bad. It was a few crumbs on the floor. And this woman is having a cow and a conniption over a few crumbs on the floor. Are you kidding me?
These are all people that, like I say, obviously do not have children.
We're in a recession. Restaurants across the board are having a hard time keeping the doors open.
Well, they must feel that, they're above the curve.
They must think what they've got is so good that they can last through. Yeah. I'm telling you, no. And then to out her on Facebook and to embarrass her. No.
I wish.
This is part and parcel with owning a business, a public business. Okay, where I don't know, I'm sorry, children might actually come in.
You don't want children? Go ahead, open a bar. That's a lot neater.
There's a thought.
So you can see grown folks be pigs.
Oh yeah, they can just puke all over everywhere. Yeah, that's much better. And I got to tell you, if she's complaining about $50 she spent on steam cleaning her carpet, then you come back, a few crumbs vacuums up, okay?
Yeah.
It really does. And I'll tell you, it goes a lot further for customer satisfaction and making the customer feel good than outing them on Facebook and complaining to them about their children. However, that's not the end of the story. You're in a nice restaurant having a great meal, looking at someone special in the eyes, and then it happens. A baby starts screaming at a table nearby, or an overly enthusiastic toddler begins running around the floor. Another establishment has had enough. After complaints from patrons disturbed by loud or unruly children, a Texas restaurant has decided to ban small children from its premises during the evening hours. A sign on the door this week says, after 7 p.m., people over the 8 years old only. That's on the Facebook page, La Fisheria, a Mexican restaurant that serves lunch and dinner in Houston. We are a family-friendly restaurant, and we also respect all of our customers. Thank you for your understanding.
You're not family-friendly.
Not so much.
If you're moving the kids to the back of the bus.
Yeah. Now, La Fisheria is just the latest eatery to establish a kids-free zone, fueled by the frustration of customers who say they don't want to have their special and often expensive outing ruined by a stranger's misbehaving child. One restaurant recently banned the 18 and under crowd, while another no longer welcomes children 6 and under. This seems to be a trend in restaurants.
Yeah, I think all those owners, we should put them all on a bus trip.
Oh, yeah, a long one.
Stick them on a nice 3-day bus trip on a Greyhound. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
I'm all for this. I had a very special life event ruined at a more gourmet restaurant by a screaming baby that was the same pitch as a dental drill. The parents ignored the child and continued to eat, a man wrote in response to La Fischeria's Facebook announcement. But the policies are also irking many parents who call them family unfriendly and hostile to children. They say they too are entitled to a night out and plead for more patience for babies and children. So you'd rather parents take their children to an unhealthy fast food restaurant than to take their children to a nice meal. You people who want families banned is what's wrong with this world, a man wrote on La Fischeria's Facebook page. In another sign of how much of a hot button issue this is, a Washington restaurant sparked a social media frenzy this week when it criticized customers whose children made a mess after eating scones and posted a photo of the pile of crumbs online. That was the story we were just talking about. Today, Mom's story on the Facebook incident prompted almost 2,000 comments on the Facebook page. Now, okay, I've been on both sides of this argument. I have been the mom with small children, desperate for something to eat that I don't have to cook because I'm tired, because I don't know I'm raising two small children. You just want a meal that you don't have to cook it, you don't have to clean up after it. You can just sit down, relax, and enjoy yourself, okay? Do children always behave themselves? No, they do not. And I got to tell you, I like to think that I'm a good parent. I really do. My children said please and thank you and no, sir, and yes, ma'am. But were they always perfect? No. Am I going to apologize profusely and prostrate myself on the ground at your feet? No, that's not going to happen either. We live in the real world. And I got to tell you, I can see it in a movie theater. Yeah. In a movie theater, small children don't have a place if it's not an animated movie or a G-rated children's movie. Small children don't have a place being in there. I agree with that. There's way too much for Netflix and Redbox and all these things that you can sit at home and watch a movie. No big deal. But every once in a while, couples with children have life events as well.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, they'd like to celebrate an anniversary and go out to dinner. What's this? They're not allowed. They have horrors. Children.
And see, I understand not wanting to put up with other people screaming kids.
Sure.
Believe me, they get on my nerves.
Oh, yeah.
After a while, okay, do something with your child or go away.
My opinion, as far as I'm concerned, my children were never allowed to run around. Okay, that's what we go to a restaurant. You sit down, you sit your butt in the chair, and that's where it stays. Period. Now, does that mean I could always control them shrieking or getting into a fight or something? No, it's just like at home. You deal with issues as they come up. Okay, there were plenty of times that it was like, do we have to go out and sit in the car, or we did go out and sit in the car because somebody was having a meltdown or whatever, and out of consideration to other people, we got to go sit in the car.
But the world has come to too much of timeouts.
Oh, yeah, bless their little hearts. Yes.
And the parents don't want to sit there and do this. 1, 2, 3. I'm not going to say it again. 1, 2. Yeah, okay, I'm going to beat the parent in a minute.
Okay, now see, I used to do that. I used to do the counting thing. But I guarantee you, when I hit 3, they shut the hell up. Because they knew there was follow-up.
Yeah, too many parents have no follow-up.
Follow-up.
Because Protective Services says, you can't maim your children in public.
Well, I actually, hand to God, I had a child psychologist one time tell me that 3 swats to a child's butt with the open hand
is abuse?
Is perfectly acceptable. It's not abuse. It is effective in the short term as well as the long term as far as setting boundaries. I had a child psychologist tell me that.
I'm a firm believer in spank your children.
He did say any more than 3 swats was for the parent. And I agree with that. I'm also a firm believer you never ever swat your kid when you're mad, because that's when bad things happen. No.
I just get loud.
I have the attitude that when you're in a situation like this and there's bad things going on around you and whatnot, somebody has to be the adult. Okay? Somebody has to be the adult. I've sat there and had toddlers and small children running around, making a mess and screaming and running around the restaurant and whatnot. I always look at the mom and just kind of go, been there, done that. I don't like the parents that just ignore it. I think that's unreasonable and unfair to everyone else. I expect you to be responsible for your children, just like I was responsible for my children. But if it's because a kid is sitting there crying, or two kids are sitting there fighting, it happens. It happens. And if you want to ban children from your place of business, it's your business. That's your right. You're paying the expenses to run that business. Mazel tov, go for it. But I'll tell you something. In the long run, maybe in the short run, you get people going, yeah, that's great. In the long run, it's going to hurt you. It's going to bite you in the butt. Don't believe me? Fine. That's fine. You're going to find out. We all go through periods where we have children and then we don't have children because they grow up. Let's try to remember what it was like when we had the little ones and have a little patience. That burned me up so bad. I could not believe that. Especially when I saw the picture that she posted of the hideous, horrible, unconscionable pile of scone crumbs on the floor that they left.
Okay, now something that you're pointing out, you keep bringing up. They were eating scones.
Crumbly.
Where are people accustomed to eating scones at?
Fair.
And at the fair,
Outdoors.
Are you worried about making a mess?
No, you're outdoors.
Exactly.
The birds love it.
So why are you shoving fair food in people's face in an indoor restaurant?
I don't know. Maybe they could ban children from eating the scones. We don't sell scones to anyone under the age of 23.
I'm sorry. Didn't you say it was a La Pla whatever? It was a Hispanic restaurant.
No, that Hispanic restaurant, that was a different one. That was the one that was the one that was banning children after 7 p.m.
And I'm sorry because I can't eat Mexican food without making a mess.
Yeah, and the thing of it is most children are in bed
After
by
7.
8 or 9 o'clock at night, or 7, 8, 9.
Yeah.
They're at home getting ready, taking their bath, getting ready to go to bed, whatever. I haven't found it to be a big issue to have children in, especially higher end restaurants, gourmet type restaurants like they're
Yes.
talking about. I haven't had an issue of there being children running around at that hour. During the afternoon, like around lunchtime, oh yeah, you're taking your life in your own hands, honey. But you know that when you walk in. So I'm kind of like, I don't know. This sounds kind of off to me, a little bit. I don't know. It's just weird to me. But it just ticked me off, and I thought I would talk about it because it ticked me off. So there. Yeah. Other interesting news going on. You might have heard about this. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a law fining people who propagate homosexuality to children. A day after dozens of people were detained after a gay pride parade in St. Petersburg. Okay. The United States, I'm going to make this comment up front. We are very, very bad about punishing groups of people or taxing groups of people for the children. For the children. Okay. You can't have, for an example, you can't have flavored cigarettes and whatnot because that's marketing to children. So we're going to outlaw it because it's marketing to children. Never mind the fact that grown-ups like them too. Yeah. So it kind of irks me. I'm kind of sensitive around them. And I'm not a smoker anymore. I did quit. But I got to tell you, it irks me when people use for children as an excuse to basically do a heinous thing. And as far as I'm concerned, that's what this is. And they're just using the blanket excuse, it's for the children, to get away with it or to try to. Now, this law introduces fines of 4,000 to 5,000 rubles, which is $133 to $166 US dollars, for individuals, and 10 times those figures for public officials found guilty, while fines for individuals who use mass media or the internet to propagate homosexuality in minors rise to as much as 100,000 rubles. Mr. Putin said in April that same-sex marriages do not produce children and that Russia and Europe face demographic challenges from lower birth rates, though it is through though it is his duty to protect the rights of people with non-traditional sexual orientations. The decision comes days after the U.S. Supreme Court struck down a law that denies benefits to same-sex couples and removed obstacles for gay weddings to resume in California. An attempt to reinstate the ban was rejected at the weekend, and an American in Florida and his husband from Bulgaria have become the first same-sex couple, a married couple, to be approved for a permanent resident visa as a result of the decision. Now, Russian gay rights activist Nikolai Alexeyev said Mr. Putin had violated Russia's international obligations by signing the law, which will be challenged at Russia's Constitutional Court and the European Court of Human Rights. Now, this is sort of like going to the Supreme Court, appealing it. Opinion polls have shown limited tolerance among Russians for homosexuality. Last year, Moscow City Court upheld the city's decision to ban gay pride parades for the next 100 years. The federal bill follows a similar ban on propaganda, quote, instituted last year in St. Petersburg, which was used on Friday in Russia's second largest city after gay rights activists staged an application for wedding licenses. A leader of the event, Yuri Gagarinov, will face administrative charges on July 4th. The bill prohibits the distribution of information intended to promote or spread non-traditional sexual orientations, quote, among minors or a distorted conception of the evidence between traditional and non-traditional sexual relationships, unquote. Foreigners under the law face administrative arrest for as long as 15 days and deportation. So, they say it's to protect the children. Okay? This is a country that tolerates, a few days ago, there was a gay man in Russia who was dragged out into the streets by a mob, whereupon they stood around and all urinated on him to cure him of homosexuality.
That's new.
Right. Yeah, it's new. I have not read a study that says that works yet. I don't know where they got that information.
I've heard about that for jellyfish, but not for being gay.
Yeah. So if it is okay in Russia to publicly urinate on a person because they are a homosexual, and this is to protect the children, apparently public urination in front of children is not an issue. Public urination on another human being in front of people, children, because it was publicly done, is okay. I'm having a real hard time with this logic here, this rationale. We all remember horrible stories here during the gay right movements and the things that have gone on. Down south, people being dragged for being gay. You remember the boy that was tied to a fence and left because he was gay? I suppose that's okay to cure him of being gay, right?
That just makes them afraid of people.
You're out of your minds. You are out of your collective minds. And it's not just us. It's not just us not liking this. Denmark, Russia is attending some sort of a big summit in Denmark. I can't tell you off the top of my head what it is, but it's a big deal. And they're going there, and outside of the building where the Russian delegates will go into is sort of like our United Nations, where it's lined with flags. Denmark took all the flags down and put up gay pride flags all down this walkway, this long walkway, in solidarity with the gay community and in sort of a silent protest to Russia's attitude, shall we say? I just cannot believe this. Russia is actually a very civilized, perfectly normal country. They do things differently than we do. Yes, they do. Their ideology and their politics are very different from ours. Yes, they are. They're allowed. But seriously? No. I say every civilized country out here, let's put pressure on Russia. Public humiliation is a good thing. They seem to think so too. Going to take a break here. We'll be back after the top of the hour news break. I'll see you in a few right here on The Raw Nerve.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. Israel's housing minister today gave final approval for nearly 1,200 Jewish settlers' homes to be built in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The move comes just days before peace talks with Palestinians are scheduled to resume. Shira Frankel reports.
Construction permits will be published today for 793 units in East Jerusalem and 394 in the West Bank, in one of the largest pushes for settlement construction in recent months. Israel's housing minister Uri Ariel dismissed international criticism of settlement building, saying that he did not consider it an obstacle to peace. Ariel said that Israel would not be dictated to by other countries over where it could and could not build. Palestinian official Mohammed Shataya said that the move by Israel could threaten peace talks, which are scheduled to resume this Wednesday. For NPR News, I'm Shira Frankel.
Egyptian security forces say within 24 hours they may restrict access to sit-in sites where demonstrators are supporting ousted President Mohamed Morsi. The warning comes hours after Egypt's leading sheikh called for talks. Spain says it's broken up a human trafficking ring smuggling Chinese nationals into the U.S. and Europe. From Madrid, Lauren Freyer reports the investigation took 2 years and is just now being made public.
75 people have been arrested, 51 in Spain and another 24 in France. Among the suspects, the alleged ringleaders of a Barcelona-based smuggling ring. Spanish investigators say Chinese citizens would pay the traffickers up to $66,000 to supply them with fake identities and passports, then smuggle them into the U.S. and several European countries. The leaders were allegedly based at Barcelona's airport, and many of the people they trafficked ended up in the sex trade, investigators say. Most of the arrests took place in June, the result of 2 years of police work, and were made public by Spain's Interior Ministry this weekend. Officials also confiscated 81 fake passports, they said. For NPR News, I'm Lauren Freyer in Madrid.
4 horseback riders in Idaho who notified law enforcement officials that they encountered a missing California girl and her alleged abductor are saying the pair seemed out of place and ill-equipped in the wilderness. Mark John says he realized who they were when he returned home and turned on the TV.
Went into the house and the news flashed on. And the Amber Alert was on the television, and I told my wife, I said, that is that girl we seen on the mountain.
16-year-old Hannah Anderson is expected to be reunited with her father today. Federal agents shot and killed her suspected abductor, James DiMaggio, who's also believed to have murdered Anderson's mother and brother. American golfer Jason Dufner is the winner of this year's PGA Championship, his first major title. Dufner started the day a shot behind Jim Furyk and finished 2 shots ahead of him at 10 under par. This is NPR. Fire officials in Southern California say they've made major progress against the Silver Fire in the San Jacinto Mountains. The blaze has now scorched more than 30 square miles, but crews say it stopped advancing and is 75% contained. Nonetheless, evacuation orders for several communities remain in effect. Pressure is mounting on San Diego's mayor to step down. Bob Filner, a former congressman, is facing accusations of sexual misconduct. And as NPR's Nathan Rott reports, the list of allegations is getting longer.
More than a dozen women have now come forward accusing Bob Filner of sexual harassment. The latest 2 say the first-term mayor and 10-term congressman made unwanted advances on them, and both are survivors of military sexual assault. For weeks, lawmakers and citizens have been calling for Filner's resignation, but he's refused. California Senator Barbara Boxer joined the cries last week with an open letter to Filner saying he should, quote, step down immediately. Meanwhile, at least 2 citizen-led groups in San Diego are trying to get the necessary signatures to force a voter recall, and the city attorney says the locks on Filner's mayoral office in City Hall have been changed. Nathan Rott, NPR News.
The Obama administration is continuing to condemn Mexico's release from prison last week of a top drug lord. Rafael Caro Quintero has been serving time for 1985 torture and murder of a U.S. DEA agent. He walked out of prison Friday on a technicality, and Mexican lawyers say they'll use the same strategy to free another cartel leader. The National Security Council today issued a statement saying the U.S. is committed to seeing that he faces justice in the U.S. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News.
Getting married, entertaining clients, or maybe you're just having a bash with your friends. No matter the occasion, make sure you plug into the tunes with E&M Entertainment. There are tons of DJs out there, but how many of them want to get to know you beforehand so they can play your soundtrack at your event at your kind of price? It's more than just a great selection. E&M plays your great selection, and that makes all the difference. So call 425-971-8078. That's 425-971-8078 for E&M Entertainment.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative. Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton is your one-stop shop for all your sewing, alteration, and clothing repair needs. At Judy's Sewing, you can also find tuxedo rentals and bridal party dresses for only $69 and bride's dresses starting at $189. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road and Central Valley in East Bremerton, near Handy Andy's, or call Judy at 360-662-1212. That's right, 360-662-1212 for Judy Sewing.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Welcome to hour number 2, and I promise it's going to be a full hour, folks. Unlike last time. You can call in at 253-617-1774, or you can log in on edgemediasource.com. Give us your questions and comments. We'd love to hear from you. Now back to your host. Here she is, Susan C.
Thanks, Dennis. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Raw Nerve. I'll tell you what, it's been an interesting day. I'll tell you. Our technical difficulties seem to have been handled professionally and quickly. Thank you, guys. Appreciate that. Now, this is Shark Week, as most people know, on TV. And I know Dennis happens to be a fan of Shark Week.
I am.
So, just for you, I got this story for you.
Uh-oh.
You ever wonder what's inside a shark's stomach?
I have.
See, I knew you had.
I've seen. Sometimes.
When I saw this, I thought, this has Dennis written all over it.
Uh-oh.
Yes, it does. In case you've ever wondered what's inside the stomach of an enormous mako shark. Now, mako sharks are huge. They are big. And they're very scary. And they are aggressive. And they are predatory. And, well, they are sharks. They do what sharks do. They eat. They're eating machines. Just like great whites. Yeah. They're eating machines. But if you want to know what's inside a shark's stomach, you got to look in there. And shark scientist Anatella Preddy recently dissected the largest mako shark stomach she's ever encountered. And she's seen a lot of shark stomachs. To date, Preddy has dissected more than 2,000 swordfish and shark stomachs.
Wow.
Including 200 from makos, according to a statement from the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA. That's where Preddy works. Now, inside the stomach, the scientists found a sea lion, an entire sea lion that weighed more than 200 pounds.
Wow.
Yeah. An entire sea lion. 200 pounds.
But that makes sense, They could, because they're...
well, I know they prey on sea lions.
Yes, and you think, okay, this is an animal that... I can't think of the word right now. What to use? It's... they eat when the opportunity's there. They're opportunists.
Right.
Because they don't know when that next meal is going to be right there.
Yeah, but can you imagine 200 pounds at one time?
Yeah. Let
Good
man versus
Lord.
food try that one.
Good Lord. Oh, get this poor shark some Tums or something. In addition to the sea lion that was in there, the stomach also contained other bones that Pretty will have to clean and identify. So it wasn't just the sea lion. That must have been a big, big shark.
Yeah.
Now, it's important to know what sharks eat because they're an important part of the food chain, something the rest of the world needs to hear about. Sharks serve a purpose. They really do. As apex predators, they keep populations of mid-level predators like grouper in check, and they eat sick and old prey species, keeping their populations healthier. When the sharks disappear, negative changes can ripple through the entire food web, but as many as 100 million sharks are killed each year. 100 million each year for their meat and their fins.
Mostly for the fins. That's so sad.
Most of which are made into shark fin soup. This is a dish that's prized as a delicacy in China, despite the evidence that it can contain high levels of toxins like mercury. And this is an absolutely barbaric practice of catching a shark, cutting its fins off, and dumping it back into the ocean.
And that's exactly what they do with the bodies. They just throw them back.
Yep. For them to bleed to death or whatever. It's got to be absolutely
And in a
torturous.
documentary I just saw, that is one of the reasons that they've noticed a lot of sharks leaving water. Certain waters. You come across, a place with a whole bunch of dead people in it, you tend to leave the area.
Yeah, and that makes sense.
Animals, same way.
But we have found, scientifically speaking, that every animal on the face of the planet, except, interestingly enough, the mosquito.
Oh.
But every animal on the face of the planet
state bird.
fills a niche. It has a purpose. It does a job in the food chain somewhere along the line. They have proven that if every mosquito disappeared on the face of the planet tomorrow, there would be no real impact.
Really?
Even the other insects and the birds that prey on them and whatnot and eat them, there are enough other insects that it wouldn't be an issue.
Malaria wouldn't go down?
Malaria would go away. Malaria would go away.
So there would be a positive to it.
Yeah, there you go. But sharks are important because they are, as the article says, they are an apex predator. They think of them as garbage machines of the ocean, and they really are. Because not only do they hunt, which they do, they're also cleaner-uppers.
Yeah, some of them.
They scavenge. Even great whites. If they find something dead in the ocean, they'll eat it.
They'll at least try it.
They'll at least try it. And if it's edible, and there's not much it's not edible to a shark, they'll eat it.
Tiger sharks are known a little bit more as the trash compactors of the deep, but yeah.
Yep. But the point is, they all do at some point. And Pretty told Life Science that the weirdest things she's found in a shark's stomach include a bullet, 24 pork steaks wrapped in paper.
That had to have come off a boat.
This shark, I'm telling you, this shark knocked over a meat wagon. At some point, meat wagon was going over a bridge, maybe. Shark made an Olympic leap, knocked off the meat wagon. And she also found a soggy salad in a shark. Can you imagine sharks eating salads?
It got the full meal.
I guess.
Yeah, all the courses.
Surf and turf.
Yes.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it. A commercial fisherman off the coast of Southern California caught the mako shark in question, donating its organs to science. Now, the shark weighed 1,323 pounds. Whoa.
It's a big fish.
Yeah. And it was 12 feet long. Pretty and her colleague, Lisa Nadenson, both shark experts, answered questions via Twitter Thursday about the animals. Now, For the past 25 years, the Discovery Channel has hosted Shark Week annually. The kickoff to this year's installment stirred some controversy over a mockumentary about the extinct ancient giant shark Megalodon. Yeah, see, mockumentary.
Yeah.
Mockumentary. And I got to tell you, I think the time has come that we cannot afford, as a people, not just a nation, but as a people, we can't afford certain countries upsetting the food chain as drastically as they are simply for a delicacy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That has also been stated that it really has no benefit to the dish itself.
It doesn't.
Flavor or any other.
It doesn't. It really doesn't.
Nutrient-wise or anything.
Now, if you want to eat bird's nest soup, which is nothing but swallow spit.
Yeah.
It is. That's what it is. More power to you. More power to you. The little birds, they don't kill the birds. They just take the nest and they build more nests. But I'll tell you, we're to the point where other countries, in the name of delicacies, are wiping out entire shark species. They're wiping out entire species, period, all sorts of animals. And I think at some point, the member nations, NATO or somebody, do something useful for once, guys. Stand up and say, stop messing up the ecology of the world. We need this. We need them. Even Peter Benchley, who wrote Jaws.
Yes.
Probably one of the most recognized novels and movies on the face of the planet, terrified millions of people out of the water for a few years after it came out. He's even come out and said that if he had realized what the movie Jaws was going to do to the psyche of the American people, he would not have made the movie. He regrets making it.
Yes.
And it's not because he scared people. That was the intent. It's a horror movie.
And he and his wife are both, right now, very big activists for the survival of sharks.
Yes, they are. The survival and preservation of the species.
That they, honestly, when they made that movie and the book was written, it was only going by the science that was available at the time.
Right. Which was limited.
Very limited. We didn't know anything.
Right.
And it showed in the after effects that people went out and went nuts, just shooting and killing everything that had a fin.
Yep, pretty much. And I'm telling you, it's really, really tragic because the hysteria that was stirred up by Jaws, the movie, and the mindset of people to go out and just, the wholesale slaughter of sharks. And not just great whites, which is what Jaws was about, a rogue great white, that terrified people. Every species of shark. The only good shark was a dead shark. And I'm telling you, this is an issue that our ecology is not going to bounce back from anytime soon. Sharks do not breed quickly. They do not breed in large batches.
No.
Very often sharks have to reach sometimes 8-9 years old before they're even sexually mature enough to breed. And I'll tell you, I would hate to live in a world without sharks. Even if we have to put up with, the occasional accident.
Yeah.
They serve a purpose. We need them. We really do. It just irritates me. People can be so ignorant.
They can, but it really goes back to, I've even heard you use this quote, education is key.
It is key to everything. I'll tell you, it does. A little education goes a long way, but a little bit of knowledge can be very dangerous. And
because I myself, yes, I love Shark Week and I love watching all the shows. I'm terrified of them because of the fact, these animals don't have the ability to come out, tap on your shoulder. They don't have something to reach it with. And, here's my thought. You don't want to be on the menu, don't jump in the food bowl.
I do like the fact that Shark Week they're very responsible as far as they'll show shows about people who survive shark attacks.
Yes.
And they'll show you horrific injuries and horror stories of people who have survived this sort of thing. And it's kind of Jaw-ish, kind of thing. But on the other hand,
they're showing these people tell you back in a heartbeat, do you blame the animal? No, I was in their domain.
Right. And then they do shows to counterbalance that, saying how important sharks are and how it is usually an accident. I watched one show where a guy went out, a stunt guy, and he was helping a bunch of scientists, and one of his dreams was always get bit by a shark and survive it. And so they put him in a chainmail suit. You might have seen this if you've been watching Shark Week. They put him in a chainmail suit, and they take this guy out to get him bit. They want to get him bit for science and study and all this.
Not hard to do.
Turns out it's very hard to do. It's very hard to get a shark to bite. They tried everything. They had him paddling on a surfboard and splashing badly and sending off every signal they get. They chummed like you would not believe. And it was all they could do to finally get a shark to bite him. And the only way they could finally eventually do that was to lay one incredible chum slick, the likes of which has never been seen. And when the sharks came in for a feeding frenzy, hand feed them and drag them over like his leg.
Yeah.
Drag the fish over his leg and hope the shark missed. And that's the only way they could. It was actually very, very hard to get this guy bit. So it's not like they're gunning for us. We're not on the menu. They're not looking for us when they get in the water. But I'll tell you.
But there are a lot of variables that come into play.
Yes, there are.
Each and every time.
And like everything else, we've got to be responsible. We are the park rangers, if you will, of the earth.
Yeah.
We're the species that, by necessity, are tasked with keeping this earth alive, keeping it green, keeping it flourishing. It's the only place we've got, let's face it, where we're going to go. The Mars mission notwithstanding. But I got to tell you, we're doing a pretty piss poor job. If we can't even get other countries to stop finning sharks at the tune of 100 million sharks a year, and they cannot bounce back from those numbers. They can't. We're doing something very poorly wrong. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, moving on to something that I thought was an interesting story. Like I said, I've had 3 daughters. I had the first 2, and then with my ex-husband, and then when my current husband and I got married, we had another one. And of course, when I was pregnant with the third one, everyone was like, hoping for a boy, huh? Thinking blue, you got 2 girls. And I'm like, I'll take whatever I can get. As long as it's got 10 fingers, 10 toes, and it's healthy, happy, I'm for it. Some people aren't that optimistic, I guess. Terry and Jay Schwartz hope that the 12th time was a charm. Yeah.
12th time?
12th time. The Schwantz are the proud parents of 11 boys and thought that number 12 might be their lucky number and their first daughter. Now, I've had friends, too, that kept trying, hoping for the boy or hoping for the girl, you know. Oh, my Lord. Girls apparently aren't in the cards for the Schwantz. They welcomed baby Tucker home this past Tuesday. The Michigan couple who married at 18 and had their first child while in college is happy to have another healthy baby at home. Having another baby in the house, it's just natural now, Terry said. We're confident that he's going to fit right in, and we gave up a long time ago on a little girl showing up in this family. Terry, she is one of 14 children, and Jay believe in having a big family because it's what's natural for them. But they think if they'd had a girl around child number 10, they might have stopped trying. The couple never learns a baby's gender before birth, meaning that each time is a surprise. Sort of. We assume that if we had any more, it was just going to be more boys. One of Terry's sisters has 10 sons. So between the 2 women, there are 22 male grandchildren. But it's worth noting that the mothers don't determine the gender. It is the sperm that determines whether the baby is a boy or girl. Somebody should have told old Henry VIII this. Not that he would have believed it. The odds of having a boy are roughly 50-50 each time a couple has a child, but the probability that one family will have a dozen boys in a row is about 4,000 to 1. I'd buy a lottery ticket. I really would. Baby Tucker joins brothers Tyler, 21, Zach, 17, Drew, 16, Brandon, 14, Tommy, 11, Vinny, 10, Calvin, 8, Gabe, 6, Wesley, 5, Charlie, 3, and Luke, 19 months. Oh, what a household. 13 males in the house means a ton of testosterone, and the Schweiz buy a lot of tennis shoes. Bandage mania, scrape knee and elbow, and cook as if they're feeding a small army. The older boys help care for the younger ones under the watchful eye of Terry, whose organizational skills keep the house running smoothly. While welcoming another baby into the house feels almost routine, Dad Jay admits he had a moment of shock. We were getting ready to leave the hospital, and I said, 12 kids. That's just crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Some people are very adamant trying for that specific sex. I remember I had all three of the girls when my youngest one was small, very small. And I went to the mall. And I've got the two older girls and the baby's in the stroller, and we're going through the mall. And you know how little old ladies come up with, oh, the baby, oh, how cute. And this little old lady came up and she goes, oh, aren't they cute? And she looks at me, and I swear to you, she looked at me and said, you must have been so disappointed when it was another girl. Hand to God. Hand to God.
Wow.
I looked at her. I have no idea who she was. And I'm like, we were just happy to have another healthy baby.
Yeah.
Go away before I hit you. Yeah. That thought crossed my mind.
Not that you were going to unlove it if it had 11 fingers.
Well, no, you can fix that. No.
You've been trying to fix lots of things with your kids for lots of years.
I know, and it hasn't worked very well, but I'm still in there pitching, I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Now, just to let you know, Dennis, of course, being a huge fan of McDonald's.
Oh.
I'm going. I brought this as sort of a PSA for you, public service announcement.
Is that
heads
right?
up. Heads up, yep. In Riverview, Florida, authorities in Florida say a woman allegedly stabbed a man in the buttocks during an argument about cutting in through a drive-through lane. Heads up, Dennis. Forewarned is forearmed.
She wanted them fries, man.
She was jonesing for some fries. Yes, she was. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said Mohammed Akbar told deputies he was in the drive-through lane at a McDonald's in Riverview Wednesday morning when Rebecca Simmons, a 45-year-old old, she's old enough to know better, tried to pull in front of him in line. Now, Akbar said he cursed at Simmons, and the woman responded by getting out of her vehicle and using a knife to stab the hood of his car. Now, this is where it gets really stupid. Akbar told deputies he got out of his car to try and stop Simmons from leaving, and she stabbed him in his right buttock, causing a small puncture wound. Simmons was arrested on charges of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and criminal mischief with property damage.
Over some McDonald's.
Okay. Some crazy woman is stabbing my car with a knife.
I'm
not getting out of the car. No. Lock your windows. Roll up your windows and lock your doors. Come on. That's just beyond stupid.
Yeah, that was... but then again, I can see it in a way. I've seen you without coffee, so...
Well,
at 9:30 in the morning.
As long as I have coffee, I'm a normal human being. Mm-hmm. Okay?
I had to deal with you until you had coffee that morning, remember?
Yes, you did.
And it was all my doing.
It was your fault, so I don't feel bad about it. So shut up. Yeah. Although, I've got tea today. I've got iced tea today. Yes, it's a warm
Either
day.
way, it's caffeine.
It's caffeine. God bless Juan Valdez and his little hairy ass. I love that man.
Do your show.
I am. Stop it. I'm in a good mood today. I can't help it. I'm in a good mood. Now, this was one of those stories that just gave me pause. I've talked before about how we are a culture of social media. That's just the way life is. We're a culture of people who cannot go 5 minutes without looking at a computer screen or a smartphone face. You see a group of people sitting around and they're all looking down and their thumbs are flying. That's life in the big city today, I'll tell you. But I'll tell you, it's getting to the point of being a little overboard. A Miami man fatally shot his wife to death. Killed her. And then he posted a picture of her body on Facebook before he turned himself in. Now, while I'm hard-pressed to imagine killing somebody, I'm trying to wrap my brain around the idea that somebody would be so into the culture that they would think this would be a normal thing to do. Not the killing, but the posting the picture. Seriously. He posted, "I'm going to prison or death sentence for killing my wife. Love you guys. Miss you guys. Take care, Facebook people. You'll see me in the news." Derek Medina, 31, wrote on his site Thursday morning, just moments before he added the gruesome image. Now, the picture showed his 26-year-old wife, Jennifer Alfonso, slumped on the kitchen floor of the townhouse they shared. She had suffered multiple gunshot wounds, according to Miami-Dade police report. Police said Alfonso's 10-year-old daughter was found unharmed at the scene, but have not revealed whether she witnessed the murder. What a nice guy. Medina, who wrote several books dedicated to his wife, including one called How I Saved Someone's Life in Marriage and Family Problems Through Communications. He wrote that book and dedicated it to her.
Oh, how sweet.
Yeah. He told police he shot his wife after she tried to leave him. Court records show that the couple who friends told the station had met at the Denny's where Alfonso worked had already divorced once, but they remarried in 2012. According to the affidavit, he claimed that during the course of the argument, Alfonso threatened him with a knife, but he was able to disarm her, apparently with a gun. This blew me away, because just that someone would do this. The murder's bad enough. It's beyond thinking. We'll be back right after this. Hang in there. I'll see you in a few.
There on the bank beneath the full moonlight. Man, I can't even believe my luck. I found a girl who loves to fish. She wants to do it all the time.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom concrete and design fabrication company. They can do all of your concrete needs. They can do pathways, walkways, driveways, you name it. You need a new foundation, you're going to do an add-on, give them a call, 731-9812 or 649-0987. Again, that's 731-9812 or 649-0987. Pacific Northwest Artisans, all of your concrete needs.
Hi, this is Stephen Gardner from the Kitsap Sun. There are 3 things we try to do on the Kitsap Caucus blog. Give you more about the story that didn't fit in the regular piece. Give you the story behind the story. We also try to draw attention to other news you might have missed. And sometimes, I like to poke fun at Port Orchard. Read the Kitsap Caucus blog at thekitsapsun.com.
Rachel's on the East Side boasts a full menu, including pasta and sandwiches. Plus, Rachel's has got the best pizza in all of Bremerton. And while the weather's nice, enjoy a great night at Rachel's by enjoying their outdoor seating area. Rachel's on the East Side, conveniently located at 1217 Silverway in Bremerton. Rachel's is even open 7 days a week for lunch and dinner. So whether it's a romantic night out or a family outing, enjoy the best food on the Kitsap Peninsula at Rachel's on the East Side.
Judy's Sewing in East Bremerton is your one-stop shop for all your sewing, alteration, and clothing repair need. At Judy's Sewing, you can also find tuxedo rentals and bridal party dresses for only $69 and bride's dresses starting at $189. Judy's Sewing at the corner of Fairgrounds Road and Central Valley in East Bremerton, near Handy Andy's, or call Judy at 360-662-1212. That's right, 360-662-1212 for Judy's Sewing.
Getting married, entertaining clients, or maybe you're just having a bash with your friends. No matter the occasion, make sure you plug into the tunes with E&M Entertainment. There are tons of DJs out there, but how many of them want to get to know you beforehand so they can play your soundtrack at your event at your kind of price? It's more than just a great selection. E&M plays your great selection, and that makes all the difference. So call 425-971-8078. That's 425-971-8078 for E&M Entertainment.
As Kitsap County's largest maintenance provider, Team Innovative in Paulsbo provides commercial and residential maintenance to hundreds of millions of dollars of local real estate. With services including parking lot maintenance and street cleaning to landscape and design, Team Innovative is committed to using a green approach and following a strong environmental conscience. Team Innovative Services, 697-6858, or visit them online at getinnovative.net. Team Innovative Services, get serious, get innovative.
And welcome back to the Raw Nerve on EdgeMediaSource.com. It's the home stretch. It's the final half hour of the Raw Nerve. So you give us a call at 253-617-1774 or log into edgemediasource.com with your questions and comments. Now back to your host, ladies and gentlemen. It's Susan C.
Thank you, Dennis. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Now, as I said in the last hour, this is a very eclectic show. I cover a bunch of different things that just strike me as interesting or whatnot. And I found something that absolutely appalled me. How many times have you gone through your closets? Oh, I've got too much stuff. Thin it out. Or the kids' stuff. I'll just take this to Goodwill. It's a pretty common, normal thing people do. Pretty regularly. You might want to rethink that. The reason being. This is kind of long, so bear with me here. It's important. A national charity whose Hello? That was it.
Having problems?
It attacked me. Did you see that? I didn't touch it.
It was a ghost?
It attacked me. I'm telling you.
We have it on video, so we'll check it out later.
Yeah. Try this one again. Sit. Stay. A national charity whose executives earn six-figure salaries use a legal loophole to pay disabled workers as little as 3 and 4 cents an hour, according to documents obtained exclusively by NBC News. Now, in an investigation, it recently revealed that Goodwill Industries, which is among the nonprofit groups permitted to pay disabled workers far less than minimum wage because of a federal law known as Section 14C, had paid workers as little as 22 cents an hour. Now, newly obtained federal documents show that at least 13 Goodwill franchises in 10 states paid 140 workers even less. According to Department of Labor filings acquired via the Freedom of Information Act, 2 Goodwill franchises in Fort Worth, Texas, paid 51 employees less than 10 cents an hour in 2011, with 14 earning just 4 cents an hour for tasks described as assembly. Franchises in Michigan, Maryland, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Ohio, Florida, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Virginia also paid employees 21 cents or less between 2008 and 2011, according to these documents. Now, one franchise in Fairfield, Ohio, paid a worker just 3 cents an hour for hanging clothes in 2008. The results of your FOIA, Freedom of Information Act, request reinforce that people with disabilities are devalued in this situation, and the operators of these programs are not keeping pace with the times. This is according to Clyde Terry of the National Council of Disability. It's an independent federal agency that advises the White House and Congress on disability policy. Now, this may have been appropriate in the 1930s, said Terry, but in this day and age, with the advances of technology, healthcare, and education, is this the best we could do? A spokesperson for Goodwill Industries countered that it was misleading to cherry-pick low wages, calling them extraordinary situations. Section 14C of the Fair Labor Standards Act, which was passed in 1938, allows employers to obtain special minimum wage certificates from the Department of Labor. These certificates give employers the right to pay disabled workers according to their abilities, with no bottom limit to the wage. Most, but not all, special wage certificates are held by nonprofit organizations like Goodwill that then set up their own so-called sheltered workshops for disabled employees where participants typically perform manual tasks like hanging clothes. The nonprofits use time studies to calculate the salaries of Section 14 workers. With a stopwatch, staff members time how long it takes a disabled worker to complete a task. That time is compared with how long it takes a person without a disability to do the same task. The nonprofit then applies a formula to calculate a rate of pay, which may be equal to or less than minimum wage. The tests are repeated every 6 months, and the wages can rise or fall. Now, the nonprofit certificate holders can also place employees in outside for-profit workplaces, including restaurants, retail stores, hospitals, even Internal Revenue Service centers. Between the sheltered workshops and the outside businesses, more than 216,000 workers are eligible to earn less than the minimum wage because of Section 14C. The many end up earning the full federal minimum wage of $7.25 or more. Goodwill's figures show that the nonprofit currency has 69 local franchises employing 7,300 workers eligible to be paid less than a minimum wage. NBC News obtained a range of filings from 2008 to 2012 for 89 different franchises in this study. According to Goodwill's figures, nationally, the average hourly wage for those Section 14C employees is $7.47 an hour. They say the low wages you have referenced are extraordinary situations. For example, sometimes an employee will work for a few minutes but then stop producing for the rest of the shift because of an emotional or behavioral issue. Unlike a typical employer, Goodwill does not dismiss an employee for such situations. Dan Burton, executive director of Goodwill's Industries of Southern Michigan, which paid a worker 6 cents an hour in 2010, said the organization's work program is meant to provide the most significantly disabled individuals in our community with work that will either lead to competitive employment or for those where this may not be possible to enjoy the many personal, social, and economic benefits of working. Burton also said that in 2013, Goodwill Industries of Southern Michigan established a floor wage of $1.85 for all participants in its program. A spokesperson for Goodwill of Northern Wisconsin in Upper Michigan, which paid one worker in Marionette, Wisconsin, 16 cents an hour and another 19 cents in 2010, said the organization currently has one program participant with significant and multiple disabilities who makes 19 cents an hour. Okay. This person attends very few hours and cannot work without close one-on-one supervision from staff to complete any task. Now, they note that some participants earn more than the minimum wage, including one who's paid $9.38 an hour. The CEO of Hagerstown, Maryland Goodwill, which paid a hand packager 15 cents in 2011, said the wage was appropriate. For the person in question, the pay rate was accurate for his or her productivity on the work we were doing then and for the amount of it that we had, according to Craig McLean in an emailed statement. The same rationale applies to the person on the same document who is being compensated for his or her production at $8.24 because of vastly greater skill and dexterity. Now, the National Council of Disabilities, Terry, said he was unsurprised by the wages revealed in the documents and called for an end to the sheltered workshops that pay sub-minimum wages. We want to support people with disabilities to find integrated employment so that they can fully participate in community life, contribute to the company's bottom line, and have a full life. Now, Terry chairs the Council's Sub-Minimum Wage and Supported Employment Committee. He says it's time these sheltered workshops be phased out. In an earlier interview with NBC News, Goodwill International CEO Jim Gibbons defended time studies with the Section 14C approach. He said that for many people who make less than minimum wage, the experience of work is more important than the pay. It's typically not about their livelihood, it's about their fulfillment. It's about being part of something, and it's probably a small part of the overall program, he said. In the same interview, Gibbons also defended the compensation earned by some Goodwill executives. His salary and deferred compensation totaled $729,000 in 2011, while the CEO of Goodwill Industries of Southern California earned $1.1 million, and the top executive in Portland, Oregon earned more than $500,000. These leaders are having a great impact in terms of new solutions, in terms of innovation, and in terms of job creation. This according to Gibbons. Now, on the surface, when you read this, you're thinking, oh, well, these must be terribly disabled people. How nice that they're giving them the opportunity. But I got to thinking about it. The people who are tasked with determining their ability or disability, however they see fit, stopwatches or whatever, these are the people who have gotten the Section 14C permits to pay people less than minimum wage. I'm thinking it's sort of like the fox in the hen house. Let someone else, that it is no skin off their nose, it's no money out of their pocket, how much they pay their people. Let someone else determine this individual's productivity or not. I think it's pretty simple. The stage is set for just across the board mismanagement, maltreatment. These are not people that are going to stand up and strike. These are not people who are going to carry placards and march. They're not going to do that. Typically in our society, as benevolent and magnificent as we are, we don't advocate for people with disabilities as much as we should. We really don't. As a people in the nation, sadly, most people don't want to be bothered. It makes people uncomfortable. It makes people nervous. But I want to know that the Americans with Disability Act, somebody from that program is the one that's determining whether or not these people are productive or not. And if you hire somebody to hang clothes on a hanger, like at a Goodwill store, why should you be allowed to determine what this person should be paid when you're allowed to cut it so substantially? Really, 4 or 5 cents an hour. At what point do any of these people end up being able to live on their own? Learn to manage money? Learn to budget anything? And I'm not talking about the severely disabled, okay? I'm talking about the middle ones. You've got, high functioning disabilities, you've got mid functioning, you've got low functioning. Let's help these people. I thought these organizations were set up to help these people, not to feed a $1.1 million CEO. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm sure Goodwill does a wonderful thing in society in allowing these people to have productive lives. Training them, teaching them things, whatever. But you can't, with one hand, give this and then with the other hand, take away. It's got to be balanced and fair. If somebody does a job for you, you've got to pay them fairly. And 3 or 4 cents an hour is not fairly. Just my opinion. Yeah. That whole thing just, I don't know. What do you think, Dennis?
Believe it or not, I actually used to work for a company here locally that was essentially training developmentally disabled adults. Mm-hmm. And they were considered clients. And what they were doing was separating bolts and fasteners, everything to putting ends on pieces of cable for the cable company. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they were given, 40 cents an hour or something like that. But that I can understand. But on the same hand, you've got companies like Walmart, which will bring in, other not so severely handicapped. These aren't people with, that are functioning, but just a little relaxed in the brain maybe. But they're giving them jobs, letting them be, that person that they need to be, have that fulfillment, but also get something substantial for it.
Right. You've got to be fair. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly.
That's all I'm saying. You've got to be fair.
Be fair.
Eons and eons ago, I had a job.
I need a raise.
That I really... Oh, shut up. That I really... take your 3 cents an hour and shut up. I had a job that I really hated. And it consisted of sitting in front of 2 55-gallon barrels, big drums. One drum, and they're both full of oil, and one drum has bolts, and one drum has screws. And believe it or not, this job consisted of taking a bolt, taking a screw, and putting it on the bolt, and putting it in a third 55-gallon barrel full of oil. That was the job. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah. Jobs were very, very...
High-tech.
Yeah. Where I was at the time, and at the time it was, there weren't a lot of jobs around. And I really needed a job, so I took it. And I sat there, and I put a lot of screws on a lot of bolts and filled a lot of barrels. And I still got minimum wage for it. Now, someone who was pretty disabled could have done that same job. Might have even been happier doing it. But if they're doing the same job, is it fair not to pay them? That's my point. That's my point. Well, I'll tell you what. This world we live in makes me wonder sometimes. It really does. We live in this country because it's a fabulous country. I'm sorry. Politics and everything aside, this is still the greatest country on this planet. It really is. In terms of the rights that we do have so far, this is a great, great country. That doesn't mean every country in the world is. And it amazes me when people forget this. Now, in Abu Dhabi, in the United Arab Emirates, Bahrain has deported a U.S. nursery school teacher that it says wrote articles on social media sites that was linked to radical groups and for violating the terms of her work permit as the kingdom intensifies its crackdown on dissent. And boy, are they. There is no dissent allowed in the United Arab Emirates through most of the Middle East period. Now, the Ministry of State for Communications did not identify the woman, but said that she wrote under a pen name and had broken the law by working as an uncredited journalist, okay? The teacher wrote articles for online publications, including Asafir newspaper, which is linked to Lebanon's Iran-backed Shiite group Hezbollah, and the outlawed Bahrain Center for Human Rights newsletter, the state news agency said yesterday. No one at the Bahrain Center for Human Rights was available for comments. Now, the ministry had received a complaint about the woman who used Twitter and other social media sites to write articles deemed to incite hatred against government and members of the royal family, as well as spreading misinformation and encouraging divisions in Bahraini society based on religious sect. Unquote, it said. Now, Bahrain, a majority Shiite country ruled by the Sunni Khalafi family, there you go, has been buffeted by unrest since the start of the Arab Spring uprisings in 2011, with mostly Shiite Bahrainis agitating for democratic reforms and more say in government. The island, which is home to the U.S. Fifth Fleet and sits between top oil exporters Saudi Arabia and Iran, has expelled several foreigners for involvement in documenting unrest. In February 2012, 2 American rights activists were deported for trying to report on events marking the first anniversary of demonstrations for democratic reforms. Now, it behooves people. Dennis, you're closer to him, you hit him.
What?
I wish I could turn the camera around.
I forgot. We didn't bring security today. My bad.
Yeah. I wish every once in a while, I wish we could turn security around. But the point of it is, even if you are an American citizen, if you are working in another country, you still have to obey their laws. We have laws that provide us certain freedoms. Our Constitution. We have freedom of speech. We have freedom of assembly. We have the right to question and protest our government, our leaders, whoever we feel it's necessary to do so to. Other countries, you're not allowed to do this. And I think it kind of gives us a black eye nationally when American citizens go to these other countries, work in these other countries. They take jobs. They know what the country is, what the country's like. They agree to take these jobs and then try to bring the rights and freedoms that they have as an American citizen into a foreign country. It's not right. It's not allowed. She's being deported for it. She's an intelligent woman. She's working as an unaccredited journalist. And I have a hard time believing she wasn't intelligent enough to figure out that this sort of behavior is frowned upon in this part of the world. We're talking a part of the world where women are generally not accepted as being, as useful in the first place. In a minute, you're going to have to excuse me while I go beat somebody.
There you go.
But that's the mindset in these countries. You cannot, as a worker on a visa, go to another country and expect them to treat you like you would be treated in America. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's nice. It would be nice. I'd like to see democracy spread all through the world. But let's face it, other countries have the right to live as they see fit. It's their country. It's their country. It's not so hard. Just saying. My opinion, and I think I'm right. Now, this story absolutely cracked me up. In the last, 2013, so that would be the last 5 or 6 years, in public opinion polls, one of the most recognized faces in America and the world is Oprah Winfrey. Also one of the richest women in the world. Go figure. Now, you probably saw this, but it absolutely cracked me up to no end. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall to have seen this. In Zurich, Switzerland, Swiss tourism officials have apologized to Oprah Winfrey after a Zurich store employee refused to show the U.S. media mogul an expensive purse. All this over a purse. I kid you not. Winfrey told Entertainment Tonight that an assistant in the luxury Trop Palms boutique would not let her take a closer look at a $38,000 black lizard or alligator skin handbag that she'd asked to see. Winfrey said the staffer told her the purse, which was behind a security window, was too expensive for her and offered to show her other models. "We are fuming. This person acted terribly wrong. We are sorry this happened to Oprah," according to Switzerland tourism tweet. In response to Whitney, Winfrey has described as a racial incident. Now, tourism office spokeswoman Daniela Barr further told the Blick newspaper this was an isolated incident and not indicative of typical Swiss attitudes. Now, the store's owner, Trudy Groats, apologized for assistant's behavior, telling Blick that there had been a misunderstanding between her and Oprah. "We don't have any facial recognition here," Gotts said. The local chain noted Winfrey is one of the wealthiest women in the world and is worth an estimated $2.5 billion with a B. Billion. I think she could afford it. The Oprah Winfrey Show, which wrapped its 25-year run in 2011, was not shown in Switzerland. Winfrey was in the country last month to attend the wedding of her friend and singer Tina Turner. Now, this sounds really funny, but I got to tell you, my first thought when I read this was, I read the whole thing, and the thing flashing in the front of my brain was $38,000 for a purse? My Lord, is it made out of unicorn skins? Jeez. I just can't wrap my brain around a $38,000 purse and why anybody would need a $38,000. But I digress. The issue here is whether or not the salesperson was in the right or not. Obviously not. I know Switzerland is a Nordic country. They're way up north. But I got to ask, do they not have black people in Switzerland? Is this a novel occurrence to see a black person in Switzerland? I've got to wonder. Because Switzerland is noted for being the playground of the rich and famous. They go there to ski. They go there to vacation. They go there to relax. And a lot of the very rich people in the world nowadays, newsflash for you, are of African American descent. And I got to tell you, if you're working in a store, I don't care where you are, and somebody asks to look at something, it's not your place, number one, to make a social decision on what you think this person can or cannot afford. Absolutely. There have been enough stories over the years, I'll tell you, of people who've been burnt badly. But I just thought it was just hysterical. I know Oprah's saying it's a racial thing, and I don't know. I think it was just a stupid thing. But try to get your brain around a $38,000 damn purse. Really? Oh, my Lord. Okay. It's just me. Well, I tell you what, we're up against the top of the hour. I do apologize for the technical difficulties at the beginning of the first hour. Those have been resolved and should not be an issue in the future. We were lucky we were able to resolve them and still be on the air. I appreciate y'all hanging with me. I really do. Be sure and stay tuned now. In the next hour coming up here is the Outlaw Radio Network with my good friend K-Dog and St. Paul, the voice of reason. Those boys are crazy, I'm telling you. Wild and crazy boys. But stay tuned for them. And then, let's see, they're from 7 to 10. And then 10 to 11 is their fourth hour, which is the last call. And let's just say it's for adults only. That's one way to put it. So stay tuned. We're going to have a great time. I'm going to be back in the next Sunday, right here at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Be sure to tune in for then. And be sure and check us out on YouTube. You can check out here on this website or on YouTube. You can look at past episodes and see what you like. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for the patience this hour, or the last hour. I appreciate it, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
From NPR News in Washington, I'm Barbara Klein. Israel's housing minister today gave final approval for nearly 1,200 Jewish settlers' homes to be built in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. The move comes just days before peace talks with Palestinians are scheduled to resume. Shira Frankel reports.
Construction permits will be published today for 793 units in East Jerusalem and 394 in the West Bank, in one of the largest pushes for settlement construction in recent months. Israel's housing minister Uri Ariel dismissed international criticism of settlement building, saying that he did not consider it an obstacle to peace. Ariel said that Israel would not be dictated to by other countries over where it could and could not build. Palestinian official Mohammed Shataya said that the move by Israel could threaten peace talks, which are scheduled to resume this Wednesday. For NPR News, I'm Shira Frankel.
Egyptian security forces say within 24 hours they may restrict access to sit-in sites where demonstrators are supporting ousted President Mohamed Morsi. The warning comes hours after Egypt's leading sheikh called for talks. Spain says it's broken up a human trafficking ring smuggling Chinese nationals into the U.S. and Europe. From Madrid, Lauren Freyer reports the investigation took 2 years and is just now being made public.
75 people have been arrested, 51 in Spain and another 24 in France. Among the suspects, the alleged ringleaders of a Barcelona-based smuggling ring. Spanish investigators say Chinese citizens would pay the traffickers up to $66,000 to supply them with fake identities and passports, then smuggle them into the U.S. and several European countries. The leaders were allegedly based at Barcelona's airport, and many of the people they trafficked ended up in the sex trade, investigators say. Most of the arrests took place in June, the result of 2 years of police work, and were made public by Spain's Interior Ministry this weekend. Officials also confiscated 81 fake passports, they said. For NPR News, I'm Lauren Freyer in Madrid.
4 horseback riders in Idaho who notified law enforcement officials that they encountered a missing California girl and her alleged abductor are saying the pair seemed out of place and ill-equipped in the wilderness. Mark Johns says he realized who they were when he returned home and turned on the TV.
Went into the house and the news flashed on. And the Amber Alert was on the television, and I told my wife, I said, that is that girl we seen on the mountain.
16-year-old Hannah Anderson is expected to be reunited with her father today. Federal agents shot and killed her suspected abductor, James DiMaggio, who's also believed to have murdered Anderson's mother and brother. American golfer Jason Dufner is the winner of this year's PGA Championship, his first major title. Dufner started the day a shot behind Jim Furyk and finished 2 shots ahead of him at 10 under par. This is NPR. Fire officials in Southern California say they've made major progress against the Silver Fire in the San Jacinto Mountains. The blaze has now scorched more than 30 square miles, but crews say it stopped advancing and is 75% contained. Nonetheless, evacuation orders for several communities remain in effect. Pressure is mounting on San Diego's mayor to step down. Bob Filner, a former congressman, is facing accusations of sexual misconduct. And as NPR's Nathan Rott reports, the list of allegations is getting longer.
More than a dozen women have now come forward accusing Bob Filner of sexual harassment. The latest two say the first-term mayor and 10-term congressman made unwanted advances on them, and both are survivors of military sexual assault. For weeks, lawmakers and citizens have been calling for Filner's resignation, but he's refused. California Senator Barbara Boxer joined the cries last week with an open letter to Filner saying he should, quote, step down immediately. Meanwhile, at least two citizen-led groups in San Diego are trying to get the necessary signatures to force a voter recall, and the city attorney says the locks on Filner's mayoral office in City Hall have been changed. Nathan Rott, NPR News.
The Obama administration is continuing to condemn Mexico's release from prison last week of a top drug lord. Rafael Caro Quintero has been serving time for 1985 torture and murder of a U.S. DEA agent. He walked out of prison Friday on a technicality, and Mexican lawyers say they'll use the same strategy to free another cartel leader. The National Security Council today issued a statement saying the U.S. is committed to seeing that he faces justice in the U.S. I'm Barbara Klein, NPR News.
Hey, St. Paul, the voice of reason here. Wanted to send a quick shout out to our friends at Pacific Northwest Artisans. They're a custom